10:30. Good to see you all. I guess I can't see you, but good to be seen, I guess. I hope you guys are all doing really well and keeping a really good mindset, calling this what it is, a true blessing in our industry right now. It is so great to be alive, to know how to do mortgages, to have the book of business that we all have. Man, what a great time, but also one of the most challenging times. I just have not seen a purchase market that is this hot. At the same time, rates be so low that your refi books are just on fire. I know a lot of you are having a ton of issues around capacity and just keeping your heads together and staying in the game. And, I just can relate to what everybody's going through today. And, one of the guys that I look up to in this business, just a great guy, very humble dude. I think he last year did around 160 million. Year to date at 260 million, which is absolutely incredible. He's just been on an amazing run and appears to just keep his cool all the time. I have Greg Kingsbury joining me today from Annapolis, Maryland, and I can't wait to get into it with Greg, one of the very best in the business. Mr. Kingsbury, welcome, man. And thank you so much for joining us, dude.
Hey, man, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, I really just kind of wanted to get a nutshell story from you. Obviously, from those of us from the outside looking in, I've got the privilege of knowing you pretty well and being friends with you. But, you are at what a lot of us would call the pinnacle, of the mortgage career. And tell us a little bit, just give us a nutshell about, kind of how and where you got started, how long you've been in, and what's led you to this point, just so we can get a little look into kind of the arc of your mortgage career.
Yep. Well, I guess I started in 2003. Honestly, I had no intention of getting into mortgages or doing anything like this. It was just, fall in backwards and add some luck and hard work. And this is where you get to, but it was, 2003, I was actually bartending, going to college, and a bunch of loan officers. It was like an area where a bunch of different companies had offices, and they used to come into happy hour. And one guy was just chirping in my ear for months and months, like, you need to get into this business. And I graduated, and I really didn't have anything else to do. And I was like, I'll give loan officer a try. Went to my initial classes, and even the guy teaching the class, he's like, you get this material. He's like, but I don't think you really know why you're here or what you're doing. And he was dead on. I didn't know. And I floundered for the first couple of years trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was ready to quit and go do something else. And and then slowly and surely you stick at it, you work hard, and you pick up a good agent, and you pick up another good agent, and then they form a team, and then the team splits off, and then it just kind of organically has grown over time. And I just, at the end of the day, I try to never make mistakes, which keeps my relationships good. And, I would say if there is one word that is the pinnacle of what I've done, it's probably the relationships.
Yeah.
You can make relationships with your referral partners. It's a home run, because then they become your friends. And what are your friends? Your friends never want you to lose. So your friends are going to say, hey, use my friend. And if for some reason the borrower doesn't want to use us, then that referral source isn't always excited about that, and they put a little bit more pressure in there. So it is I would say it's a relationship game as much as anything else that we do.
Yeah. And Greg, the relationship game is something that I think you are an absolute master. The way people refer you, the loyalty agents that you've built up through the years is a testament to just who you are. And I heard you say, in a lot of different ways several times, and what you were saying, a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck. And I know you work very hard too. You have a very calm demeanor, which definitely helps. But I think, people see the numbers that you put up, and it looks amazing, but the hard work and what it took to get there, I think is often understated. It's kind of like raising kids, right? Where, the days are very long, but the years are short, right? And those long days and kind of the grind that I think is lost on a lot of people, especially in calls like this. So, tell us the structure of your team, Greg. Like how does your team operate, and what does it look like? Just so we've got a good concept.
Yes, I mean, I have a pretty close-knit group. The way that we're set up is there's really three of us on the front end that do the majority of the talking with clients and, putting together proposals for them and estimate sheets and, just getting them comfortable with the whole process. Then once they're under contract, I have three ladies that help me kind of run contract to close. So once they're under contract, there's an introduction, kind of a baton pass, if you will. Here's somebody that is going to now work with underwriting and work with you throughout the way. So it's really my team of 6. And then obviously we've got our underwriters and closers, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But that's generally the makeup. We're all kind of able to do other things. Like, I mean, I can take the loan app, I can disclose the loan, I can order the appraisal, I can get it into underwriting, so I can do all those things. And then, so you take some of these months that everybody's having, it's not, you just got to roll your sleeves up and get into it. That's the only way you're going to get ahead. If you're waiting for your company to come up with more resources and throw more people at you to get things done, it's just not going to happen. Those people aren't there. So I think the reason, we've certainly gotten behind. We've certainly been busy. We've certainly been stressed and wanting to pull our hair out and just like, when is it going to end? When's it going to stop? How are we ever going to catch up? Those thoughts run through our head daily,
Yeah.
but there is no real substitute for rolling your sleeves up and getting your hands dirty with everything. The more you look up front, the easier things get down the road. And I just don't think there's a substitute for actually doing the work. And I know, I talk to people all the time. They're like, well, I think my company should do this. I think my company should do that. And that's great. But I just don't think those people that don't want to do every piece when they have to, you'll hit a plateau and you won't learn how to get to the next level.
Man, I mean, I could not agree more with a lot of what you're saying, especially, figuring out how to solve the capacity problem yourself, either by rolling your sleeves up. I heard you say, I also heard you say, you're around for your company to find you a processor or find you a production assistant to help you get this volume through. And so that, one of the things I really want to get to is you had this absolute monster month that was like 60+ million in a month. What was the actual number, Greg?
It was just over 60. It was like 60.1 or something like that. It was
that is absolutely incredible to do that kind of volume in a month, man.
For my entire career, I could never break 20 million. It was like I hit 19.8, 19.9. And this year I was like, I am going to break 20 million in a month. And February, I actually did it for the first time ever. And then 2 months later, we did triple that. So I will say it's not anything that would ever sign up to do again. And I think I'd probably have 5 team members maybe just tap out and walk out the door if I did. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was the perfect storm. I'll never forget it. It was February, 27th, 28th, whatever. It was right at the end of February, and we had just hit 20 million first time ever. So we were all excited, and the timing couldn't have been any better to just get everything in as fast as we could. It was like 4:30 on a Friday, and one of the principals here is like, hey, I'm sending out this refinance email to your entire database. And it was just a simple call to action, like rates are really dropping, just reply back if you're interested with your loan balance and interest rate. Blah, blah. I forget what it was, but I've never seen so many people respond so quickly. I mean, my entire weekend was shot. I think I probably did 400 refinance estimates that weekend alone.
Oh my gosh! So this is crazy. You yourself did 400 refinance.
I mean, that's probably an exaggeration, but it felt every bit of that. And it was probably realistically every bit of 150. And then, the other guys on my team were also firing them out. So it was an all hands on deck weekend. And I think by the time we got to Monday morning, I was jokingly sent out an email to all the other loan officers in the company and said, I apologize for using up all the loan numbers this weekend because the origination number was just crazy. And people were like, what happened? In the meantime, the three girls I have that do contract to close, I think their stress levels and hearts just bounced out of their chest. They're like, what are we supposed to do with all this? So we're working 18 hours a day, just getting loans disclosed and getting them out. I mean, thank God there's, the property inspection waivers were hitting like they were, or appraisers would have just been out. And then the government, basically the country shut down in March. So nobody could go do anything. And you're just sitting at home. You couldn't go anywhere. So they're like, well, I might as well work. Underwriting was fresh at the time. Everybody was fresh at the time. So, we're getting loans submitted Saturday, Sunday, all day long, getting approvals all day long. Like, it was the perfect storm of we jumped on it when the fire just started and got so many people to commit. We got them in. We got them in before anyone else in the company did. So we got, we had all the resources at our disposal. It would be, as full as everybody is right now, it would be almost impossible to repeat that feat. But it was just no better word than just the perfect storm of the right timing of everything. And then, and everybody worked their asses off. It was insane amount of hours. If everyone was punching the clock, I would imagine it was, 70 to 80 hours a week for 6 straight weeks to get that to happen.
Yeah, dude, it makes more sense to me now, that you say, hey, we jumped on it. We were first. We got in before any of the other loan officers. We did all this stuff over the weekend. And then the company, shut down and it makes a lot more sense. But I also think, I just want to acknowledge you, man, for jumping on it right away, for leading that charge, for rolling your sleeves up yourself and getting those commitments over the weekend, and just, seizing the opportunity. And, you said a couple of different times, your contract to close people, their hearts jumped out of their chest. And I think a lot of us can really relate to that. I personally, am really concerned about the workload that, my team is taking on. And, it's now normalized, right? Because we've been doing this for a long time. So how did you keep your team engaged and keep the morale up and keep people charging, during that time, Greg?
Honestly, I don't know that I did. I think there's only so much you can say. There's only so many, pep talks, emails, we'll get through it that you can do. And then the rest is really kind of on the people that you really have behind you. I just actually, again, say kind of lucky timing, but I'm also lucky with the people that I've hired. They're good people with good work ethics that yes, they want to hear from me. Yes, they want to, they need some propping up at times, but the grand scheme of things, they're just really good people with really good work ethics. And if I didn't have them, if I had somebody that was just a complainer and didn't want to do anything like that, again, we probably wouldn't have ended up in the same position. So, a lot of it is with the people you keep. And I just happen to have really good people. I mean, we were all stressed. I mean, it's one of those things. I see somebody on at 10:30 at night doing something, like I want to make sure I'm on doing something, because I'm not going to be the guy that brought in this business and then said, here, it's your problem, deal with it and figure it out. Like, I think because we were all in it together, and again, you really couldn't go do anything. So it was, what else? Your phone's beeping because there's email. It's better than sitting there, watching a TV rerun of some sort. You just hop online and pour yourself a glass of wine or crack a beer and just keep going. So
another loan. Yeah.
I mean, there is no replacement, I think, for the good people around you.
Yeah.
You could certainly have bad people, but I'm lucky enough not to have that.
Well said, man. I think a younger me, especially a younger me that didn't know you as well, and that's a lot of the people that subscribe and watch these mastermind calls, would look at you, Greg, and say, man, he has made it. Like, this is everything that all of us, including you, probably have ever dreamed of, to have a month like this. And it's like, if you're doing $60 million a month, right? That's it. That's the holy grail. So do you feel any differently? Is it different than, when you broke that 20 million? Do you feel like you've quote beat the mortgage industry and you've got it figured out yet?
I mean, I definitely don't have it figured out. I don't think any of us do. Moving forward, refinances go away. If I go tomorrow and mess up a handful of transactions for some referral partners, this time next year I could be doing nothing. If I take your eye off the ball on your purchase transactions now because you're too busy on a refinance, you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's and that adds a layer of stress too, because we've got people that are writing 3-week contracts, and some even wanting to go faster than that on top of the unprecedented volume that's out there. You're like, something is breaking, and I'm seeing it break all around me. Like, do we really need to do this? But at the end of the day, we still have to perform there, because when these refinances go away, those are still our lifeline of people. So to say, I don't think you can ever say or feel like you've made it in this industry, because it could all be gone tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The second you take your referrals for granted, or anything that you do for granted, then, it could be gone. Somebody could come out, work you. Somebody has a product that is so much better than yours, and you lose an agent to it. Like, it happens. But if you're constantly, working to stay in front of people, and I just can't stress enough, like, being the master of your entire trade so you don't make mistakes. Everyone's going to make a mistake, but, know how to get around it, know how to fix it. But you can also get ahead of a lot of mistakes by asking questions and really knowing what you're doing. And the second I think any of us lose sight of that part of what we do, then we're going to see our business dwindle down from there. So I can't say that I'll ever be able to say I've made it to where you can then sit back and relax, because it will erode at that point. So until I'm ready to retire, I guess you just gotta keep being a student of the game.
Yeah, I really want to highlight that, because on in a few different calls that we've had, and just highlighting different people's careers, I hear a lot of things from producers who are maybe newer to the business and aren't doing the kind of volume that you're doing. That, oh yeah, but you have a team, or oh yeah, but you're doing this much volume, so it's really easy to say that because you have this much more volume, than the $1 million producer does. But what I heard you say is that, Mark, it's really no different. The same anxiety, and perhaps more anxiety, that I had as $1 million producer. Now I'm doing a lot more, and I am proud of these months and the people. You're really proud of the people that you have around you. but the stress level is not less. The feeling is not different. You don't have this feeling like, oh, I've arrived and now I'm in this, this club. It's like constantly a quest. And when you get to that point, the mindset might be different. You might be focused on different things, but the feeling is not like, hey, yeah, I'm finally here. I've arrived, right?
I mean, if there is that feeling, I haven't gotten there.
Either.
So I'm going to assume that it's not. I mean, I've yet to meet somebody that's like, yeah, now I hit this point and now it's just smooth sailing from here. I mean, there's stress of everything. There's loan level stress. There's your team stress. There's home stress. And then, the more you do, you have to bring on another team member. But then if you start to slow down and their income gets impacted, like that's stress. Like, all my team members, they have family, they have kids, that this is their career. So if I'm not bringing in the business to give them something to do, then they're either making less or, God forbid, I actually have to get rid of somebody because we don't need them. So that's a stress that you carry on, how you're going to fulfill your obligations to your team. But then, the same as you work a lot there, and then you've got the stress of how do you fill your obligations to your family and your kids. And I struggle at all of these. I go on a beach vacation this past summer, and it's not much of a vacation. Everyone's out at the beach, and I'm inside like, oh no, I just got to get one more estimate out. I just got to do one more pre-approval, one more letter. And next thing you know, it's like 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, all right, fine, I'm going to go out. And I mean, so then you got the guilt of being on vacation and your team's working, and then you got the guilt of being on vacation and working and your family. Your family looking at you and saying, can't you take some time off? So there's stress that comes from so many different levels, and it's all of that.
Dude, I'm so glad this is something that I struggle with a lot. And, hearing someone like you, whom I respect and look up to so much, just talk about being on vacation and feeling the guilt that your team is working. And so you feel like you need to be working. But then, your wife and kids are like, Dad, we're on vacation. I know you have 3 beautiful girls. We're on vacation. They're wanting your time, right? So you have that guilt as well. And, couple that with everyone you talk to. I mean, you can't talk to someone and they're not going to tell you how busy they are and how crushed with capacity. And so all this languaging is flying around that I'm trying really hard not to subscribe to, and I'm just really doing the best to say, okay, like, how can I solve this problem? I'm really trying to get creative around creating new capacity in different creative ways, that are sustainable, to your point. But I think this back and forth guilt, a lot of our people are feeling that because they don't feel like they can go on vacation because they're then stressing Greg out, the guy that's giving them a job, because now he's got more to do, right? And so it compounds when you have this team who can't get some time off and needs to recharge their batteries. And it's equally as important for you, right? But if the market melted away tomorrow, which I heard you say a couple of different times, so you're super worried that, refis are going to go away, all you have is purchase business, and you don't want to a mistake on those purchase business. So, to kind of tie all that in, there's a lot of weight that, is going on right now. There's a lot of guilt when you're at work. There's a lot of guilt when you're at home. There's so much volume. You have responsibilities to families that you can't get back to as fast as you need. And I don't know what the solution is there, Greg, but I don't feel like enough people are calling a spade and talking about this. And so it's comforting, as much as I don't wish that upon you, to hear you say, look, I'm on vacation and I'm feeling guilty that I'm not at work, and I'm feeling guilty that I'm not with my family. Yeah, no,
I mean, I think you'd be probably hard pressed to find somebody that hasn't hit that level at some point this year. It doesn't matter if you're doing, $1 million a month or 20 million or 60 million or whatever the number is. I think the guy guaranteed rate just eclipsed $1 billion. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I heard about it, but I did not see it. That's unbelievable.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's anything that's, I don't know if there's a solution for it. I mean, the market will correct itself. Like eventually rates are going to go up and refinances will slow down and the volume will be more manageable. And but then it's like, all right, well, does it get too manageable at that point? And then that's a stress. Like, so it's, I mean, and I think that's why, to go back to a couple minutes ago when you said, do you ever feel like you made it? I don't think we can ever have that feeling because of those guilt pieces and that stress that goes along with it. Because if you're doing a lot of business, you're stressed there. And if you're not doing a lot of business, you're stressed on, well, what's next month going to bring and the next month and the next month. And I think my entire career I've been waiting for the shoe to drop on it just dries up and goes away. And it hasn't. But in my mind, I'm still always waiting for that to happen. So I think that does push me to continuously try and find, new avenues of business and new people to work with. But again, it all comes with stress. And if it's stress and guilt is probably the two biggest, pieces of this business that, every once in a while, my older brother's a government worker, and I joke about, the 40 hours a week that they may punch a time clock and go in, but you can, you get to leave on Friday and not think about anything till Monday. And I was like, I've never had that in my career. And it sounds phenomenal, but we also get heavily compensated for what we do. So, there's risk, there's reward, and I think we're all living the reward right now. And, but that does come with, those things like the stress and the guilt. And I mean, if you figure it out through what, who you're talking to, I'd love to know how to get around it.
Well, I mean, I definitely feel like I'm handling it much better, and part of it's just this awareness and talking to guys like you and realizing that it exists, and yeah, I'm working on it for sure, and I feel like I've made giant strides in the last couple of years with the work that that we've been doing, and I know you've been a part of that as well. What are you doing that's effective at managing the stress? Absolutely, it's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. But what have you been most successful at? And even if it's not right now, Greg, because I know if you're anything like me, there are times when I'm like super on my routine, and then things get good, and I kind of fall away from it a little bit. But how are you managing the stress and the guilt?
I mean, I don't think I'm managing any of it. I think I'm dealing with it. But I'll give you one. I'll say, as far as the work stress, if there's one thing that I've done, and this probably goes back to like 2016 when I think it was 2016 when I joined the L360 coaching group. And at the time they were talking about, email optimization and inboxes, and my inbox was just an inbox, and every email flew in there. I never deleted anything. So there was thousands upon thousands of emails, and, there's a day you get 100 emails. There's a day that you get 300 emails, and there's so much in between and mix, and you're bound to miss stuff. I mean, I used to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my gosh, I just remember somebody emailed me at 10 o'clock this morning. And I never responded to them. I read it, and then I read another one, and then a phone rang, and I never went back to it. So I really got good at managing my email and realizing, I have so many different rules that, if it's all the crap that comes out of your LOS, like, I mean, we all get 100 appraisal emails and, reviewed this and submitted here. And, on top of, your mortgage market guides, your MBS lives, all those emails that come through, and then just anything that you've ever signed up for that comes in. Like, once I notice an email, I try to, like, after 2 or 3, I'm like, wait a minute, why I'm just deleting this, or I'm moving it. Create a rule and move it into a folder. Everything that comes to my LLS goes to a folder. So I really try and keep a finite inbox of things that I have to do. And if I get that down to 0 when I get home, or I'm ready to go to bed, the level of stress in my night of sleep is so much better, because I don't think that there's anything that I've left outstanding. Now, that doesn't mean that I go to bed and I don't have a task that I could have done, but I might have it in a task that has a due date of a certain period. Maybe we're all getting tons of refinance requests like, hey, can I see some numbers? And, if you fired them back in 5 minutes, you could never keep it. You wouldn't get anything else done. So I've created a folder, and it's like, here's my refinance estimates folder, and I'll put it aside, and then I'll set aside, 45 minutes or an hour, and I'll go through and I'll just chunk them out and send them out. And then I'll, do more the next day and do more the next day or whatever. And I'm upfront with people and say, it's going to take a couple of days for me to get you a full set of numbers. The market's still trending pretty flat. So, there's not a whole lot of rate pressure, but there's a lot of capacity pressure. So again, like, I'll put them off to the side so they're not glaring at me in my inbox. But again, if I can get that down to 0, like, if you can keep your inbox clean and get the noise off to the side in a folder, set aside some time to just go through and make sure there wasn't something in there that you missed. But the individual emails that are coming in from somebody that is a question, or, hey, I want to set time up to talk about a pre-approval, those are the important ones. You set them up and you get them out. You get them on your calendar and you get them out of your inbox. And again, if there was one thing that I've done in my entire career by way of creating some efficiencies and creating like something that was just going to help me turn off at some point, it's getting to that inbox 0. Like, I love when I get there and I take a screenshot and I'll send it to some of my buddies that I know struggle with it.
Yeah.
Like, if John Downs is watching this right now, he's a guy that I love to send that over to him, and he's like, I hate you. Because he knows very well that level of stress, it just drops the second that you're like, I feel caught up. So that's probably, everything else, it's hard. Just the amount of people requesting things, and you don't want to let anybody down. So, continuously just try to do it. But, for me, that's a game changer.
I love it, man. And again, it's something that's so simple, but I think so many of us struggle with, for a while, I really felt like, I had to look at all those emails, and then I'm in a similar spot where I've fully trusted my team to handle what's going on in the transaction. And I can't possibly, there's this place where it's not possible for you to handle all that stuff. So getting that email down to 0 probably, calms your mind, de-stresses you quite a bit, allows you to be a better dad, father at home, which takes away some of the guilt, right, that we talked about before. But also, I heard you say time block. Like, look, I've got all these refi requests. I can't possibly get back to them. It's all that I would do, but I'll time block and chunk a bunch of those off, so you feel like you are making progress and getting through those things. And so, what I would highlight is that, mastering the email, getting it down to 0, time blocking so that you don't miss things and things don't fall through the cracks. Because I think for all of us, probably yourself included, Greg, more things are falling through the crack now than ever, because there's just so much noise and so much going on, to your point. And so a really simple tip that can really help on the stress and the guilt side. I love it, man. And one thing I want to do before we go here, Greg, is just acknowledge you. I've had the fortune of knowing you for 4 or 5 years now, and the simplicity of your business, and just the hey, we just need to get our leads to pre-approvals and our pre-approvals into contract, and it is, you're such a humble dude. You're always cool as a cucumber, and your results are absolutely amazing, man. And I just really appreciate you taking time to share with us today, and really want to acknowledge you for just being an absolute A player, one of the very best in the industry as far as I'm concerned. And we really appreciate you taking time to help us get better, Greg.
Man, you read that exactly how I wrote it out.
No, you earned that.
I really appreciate it. And, it's, again, I mean, simplistic is the easiest way for me to keep it together. And I think, I definitely get caught up in the shiny new object at times. And I'm like, oh, that would be awesome to do. But then going back to just keeping it simple at what we do, it definitely, again, it's one less stress to worry about if you have a very easily managed and fine line to follow.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, man. You're a great dude with great results, and we really appreciate your time today, man.
No problem, bud. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So there's another session in the Tribe Mastermind. Please stay tuned for more. We'll, of course, we've recorded this and we'll send it out. And hope you all have a great week. Remember, keep it simple. Keep your eye on the prize. Do the very best that you can. Check out, recharge those batteries, and try not to feel guilt. Be with your family when you're with your family, and be with your work when you're with your work. Wherever your shoes are, that's where you should be. And it's not a perfect science, but the more you can get there, the better I think you'll enjoy the journey, and the better the results will be. So until next time, I am Mark Robertson, and we appreciate all of you who've tuned in here today. Thanks again, Greg. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.